Welcome to the show. All right, I'm Mitch Goldberg. Welcome to Be the Boss of Your Money. What a day. It's very exciting. The NASDAQ hit finally a new all-time high. First time in about 3 years or so, almost 3 years. It's been a long time. And although you've seen a number of the large cap tech stocks gallop to 1 trillion, 2 trillion, and $3 trillion market caps, thank you, Apple and Microsoft, it still took a couple of years for the NASDAQ to recover to an old high. It did it today. It set a new high. Historically, new highs don't just get hit and then the markets go back into a bear market. New highs are typically exceeded over and over again. We're seeing that happen now with the S&P 500. We're seeing that now with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So we'll take a look at some of the closing highs, some really good statistics, and then a look at history as a guide to see what we can expect for the rest of the year. I think the stuff is interesting. Please stay tuned. I will roll the intro now as soon as I could pull the intro on my screen to click on it. And here we go. Stay tuned. We're going to go over a couple of details and then we'll be right off. Here we go. All right, thanks for joining me. So, first of all, NASDAQ new record high. First time it did this since 2021. It's been a long time in the making, but the Dow closed up at 38,996. We are very close to hitting 40,000. It could be a matter of a week till we hit 40,000. Could be. S&P at 5,096. NASDAQ closed at 16,091. I think when I got into the business, it was like 700. By the way, you cannot invest directly into an index, but you could invest into a security that tracks or mimics an index. So what's going on? What's driving it? We kind of know what's driving it, right? The large cap tech stocks, but those aren't the only stocks that are going up. So let me give you a little rundown here, okay? First of all right, excuse me when I get an itch under my headset. So let me give you a little rundown. We had 4 months in a row, 4 up months in a row. That's November, December of 2023, and this year, January and February. 4 months. November was up 8.9%. I forgot my stats here. That's why I'm reading them to you. December up 4.4%. January up 1.6%. February up 4.6%. This has been a phenomenal run. And this has only happened 16 times when you have those particular 4 months up in a row. And all 16 of those times, the year not only finished positive for the S&P 500, but it went up more. All 16 times. So if history is any guide, we have no reason to believe it is guaranteed, and past performance is no guarantee of future performance. But if history is a guide and you believe repeating patterns, we have more gains to look forward to, with the average gain of about 18% on the year if you average out those 16 times that this happened. You cannot invest directly into an index, but you could invest into a security that tracks or mimics an index. Okay, just want to see if camera 2 is working, and unfortunately it's not going right now, but that's all right. We go on. Sectors that were the winners: technology up 27%, financials up 24%, so almost keeping pace with technology. Industrials up 22%, consumer discretionary up 20%, healthcare up 17%. Consumer discretionary, consumer discretionary is things that you want. Consumer staples is things that you need, like toothpaste, food, toilet paper. That's consumer staples. Consumer discretionary would be like Lululemon, Harley Davidson, Ulta. That's discretionary. All right. Technology leaders, no question, up for those 4 months was NVIDIA. It almost doubled, up 91%. Broadcom up 53%. Advanced Micro Devices up 79%. Communications, Meta, which is Facebook. I don't know if you know this, but Facebook changed their name to Meta. So Meta was up 60% in those 4 months. Huge moves, especially for large companies. Eli Lilly for those 4 months, 37%. Merck up 24%. Amazon up 30%. Home Depot 32%. Costco 35%. In financials, JP Morgan up 31%. MasterCard was up 27%. Berkshire Hathaway, that's Warren Buffett's company, up 21%. Visa up 21%. Weren't financials supposed to do terrible because of this pending gloom and doom in the commercial real estate market and mortgages? It brings me up to an important point. We had clients here two afternoons ago, and they went into cash. I think we spoke about this yesterday, but one of the things that they kept mentioning was, one of the things they kept mentioning was how bad things are going to be if Biden wins the upcoming election. It's going to be so bad in the market, the economy. They said that they were probably saying the same thing when it was Trump versus Biden in 2020. And they were saying the same thing probably when Obama won. And other people are probably saying the same thing when Trump won, when Reagan won even. I mean, here's the thing. There's always going to be people who say how bad things are going to be if someone wins an election. And in my experience, most presidents, almost all of them, have actually enjoyed a pretty decent stock market during their presidency. Some more than others, but most of them were up. It's a really bad way to make investment decisions based on the election cycle. Economic cycles do not coincide with presidential cycles. A lot of the things that take place in a presidential cycle, from Fed policy, monetary policy, interest rate policy, tax policy, these things take years to work out. And typically speaking, any president is living with what their predecessors and their previous predecessors, the predecessors to their predecessors, did. And it's an ongoing thing. So please do not make investment decisions based on whatever news channel you're watching, not even on CNBC, because these have nothing to do with how the market's going to perform. Nobody has a crystal ball. Things you should do, I'll tell you what the best thing to do is this. You take these two fingers, right, these two pointer fingers, and you do this, all right? And you tune it all out. That, my friends, is what you do with the news when it comes to making investment decisions. Now, if you want to make personal finance decisions, that's a different story. For example, the Secure Act 2.0, you can no longer stretch an IRA. So if you inherit an IRA from somebody other than your spouse, you have to empty that account out, withdraw all the money within 10 years. And if the person you inherit the IRA from, like a parent, for example, if they were taking IRA distributions, required minimum distributions, you have to continue those required minimum distributions. And 2024 is the first year that you're going to be penalized, if you don't take those distributions. It should have been going on for the last 3 years, but a lot of people didn't know about it, and the IRS is giving everybody a pass, but that stops this year. Taxes are expected to go up in 2026 because the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the 10-year deal to lower the tax brackets, ends. So that's something you could plan around. Those kinds of things are good to plan around. It's good to have the awareness. It's good to know that you could put an extra $1,000 into an IRA if you're over 50, or roughly $7,000 more into your 401k if you're over 50. These are good personal finance things to know about that have been shaped by economic, financial, tax policies. But the politics, we are a pretty divided country, yet the stock market is galloping up to new highs. I understand that the news channels are there, in my opinion. A, a lot of it, it's to keep you under this siege mentality. Don't fall for it when it comes to making your personal finance decisions. Okay. I told somebody I went to New York City like 2 weeks ago for the Billy Joel concert. Like, oh my God, you went to New York City. Oh, it must have been awful. No, it was fine. The city was great. I had a great time. It was great. I went to Washington, D.C. for a couple of nights about a month ago. Great time. It, it was a wonderful experience. I walked everywhere, including at night. I survived. It was fine. Don't go under the siege mentality. Okay. So let's continue to go on. All right. The first 2 months of the year, the S&P 500 was positive, and typically the average return for the final 10 months of the year, when that happens, is a 12.2% return from here on, starting on March 1st. For the full calendar year, the average is 19.9%, and 12 months later, so 10 months, and then at full, until the end of February next year, is 14.8%. So history is on the side of the bulls. And I could tell you that typically when an index like the S&P, the Dow, or the NASDAQ hits a new high, people will come out and say, oh, we just hit a new high. It's too late to buy. It's over. We're at all-time highs. Which is silly because I've been in the industry for over 30 years in this industry, right? When we hit a new high, we keep going. We don't just hit one high and turn around and then hit one low and turn around. Making a high, just like making a stock market bottom, it's a process that plays itself out over time. Don't make your bets based on these. You're going to be in the market for the next 15, 20, or 30 years. Even if you're retired, if you're already retired, you could still have a pretty long runway ahead of you. Many of us will spend more time in retirement than we spent in our working years. And we need to keep ahead of inflation. And one historically good way to do that is by investing in the stock market. I know there are no guarantees, of course. We know that. Past performance is no guarantee of future performance. But historically, the stock market has risen. Corporate earnings have risen. Revenues have risen. New technologies, new companies, new processes. It all goes along with the idea that the stock market typically goes higher. So that's what I want to share with you today, okay? Stay strong. If you have any questions about your portfolio, your financial planning, you can reach out to me. You can find my contact information at clientfirststrategy.com. I'd love to hear from you. And until then, have a great day. I typically don't do these shows on Fridays unless something really funky happens in the market. So I'll be back to you Monday. Have a great weekend. Thanks.